Have you ever felt your blood boil over someone's words, a gesture, or even a passing comment, leaving you restless, heavy, and powerless? That knot in your chest, the tightening of your jaw, the sudden storm of frustration, it's not just a fleeting moment. It seeps into your day, shapes your decisions, and quietly steals your peace. Imagine carrying that weight constantly, like a shadow that clings no matter where you go. Now imagine the freedom of releasing it completely, of walking through life untouched by the noise of others, untethered from anger, untouched by petty provocations. That freedom isn't a dream, it's a skill you can learn, and it starts the moment you choose to see things differently. You've spent years reacting, defending, justifying, letting the world pull your strings. Every argument, every insult, every unfair glance has been a tiny drop adding to a storm inside you. And yet, what if I told you that storm doesn't need to exist at all? That the same situations that once triggered rage or irritation can pass through you without leaving a scratch on your mind or heart? It's not magic. It's understanding, practice, and a shift so profound that it will change not only how you feel, but how the world responds to you. This is the path to mastering yourself in a way most people never even consider. Why stay with me through this journey? Because what you're about to learn will unlock doors to peace, clarity, and power that anger has been blocking all your life. The moment you stop being bothered by others, you reclaim time, energy, and emotional control. You'll notice a new calmness in decisions, a sharper focus in your work, and a deeper connection to what truly matters. Life will stop feeling like a battlefield and start feeling like a space where you hold the ultimate authority over your reactions, your emotions, and your inner world. The reward is not just freedom from anger. It is the discovery of a strength so quiet, yet so formidable, that it transforms every interaction you have. Take a moment to reflect on the times anger controlled you, how it made you act impulsively, speak harshly, or regret decisions later. Those moments are proof not of weakness, but of habit, and habits can be changed. Every person you meet has the potential to push your buttons, but your response is your power. Imagine a life where no one could take that power from you, where your emotional state is yours alone. That is the goal, the reason, and the prize. Right now, you are standing at the edge of a new reality, one where your mind is a fortress, and your emotions are allies, not enemies. The journey you're about to begin is not about suppressing feelings, it's about transforming them. It's about seeing beyond the immediate sting of offense to the calm clarity that lies beneath. By staying with this video, by embracing these insights, you will take the first step toward a life where anger is optional, where irritation is temporary, and where your inner peace is unshakable. You will learn to walk through fire without burning, to meet the world head on without losing yourself. This is not a promise of ease. It is a promise of power. And the moment you claim it, nothing can touch you. Think about how often your mind drifts into arguments before they even happen, how you rehearse the words, the comebacks, the indignation, and the weight of it all sits heavy in your chest. That mental storm isn't caused by anyone else. It's created by you, by the way your thoughts cling to offense, by the way your mind interprets the world as a series of personal attacks. Every insult you carry, every slight you remember, is fuel for a fire that does nothing but consume your energy, your focus, your peace. But here's the truth. The fire is optional. The power to extinguish it has always been in your hands. You simply need to understand how your mind works and how you can take control of your reactions before they take control of you. Your emotions are not enemies. Anger, irritation, frustration, they are signals, not sentences. They exist to inform you, to alert you, not to dictate your behavior. When you realize this, the shift begins. You stop believing that every slight deserves a response. You start seeing provocations as tiny ripples in a vast ocean, barely touching the surface of your deeper self. You start understanding that control isn't about suppressing anger. It's about choosing clarity over chaos. And once you make that choice consistently, your mind becomes unshakable. People will still try to push buttons, and life will still present challenges, but your inner state will remain untouched. You will no longer trade your peace for temporary satisfaction, no longer let the opinions of others shape the weather inside you. Imagine waking up every day without carrying the weight of yesterday's slights, without worrying about who said what or why they did it. Imagine moving through conversations, conflicts, and criticisms without the knee-jerk reaction that drains your strength. That clarity, that calm, is not just a gift, it is a strategy. Your brain can be trained to respond differently, to interpret situations without assigning blame, to pause before reaction and choose power over impulse. Science tells us that the neurons in your brain can change, that new patterns can replace old habits. You are not doomed to repeat cycles of anger. You are capable of rewiring your mind, building resilience, and mastering the art of detachment without losing empathy, without becoming cold or distant. When you embrace this power, the world changes in subtle yet profound ways. The same words that once cut you now fall flat. The same actions that used to trigger you now pass like shadows over the sun. You gain the freedom to focus your energy on growth, on goals, on connections that uplift rather than drain. Every moment you remain unbothered, you expand your influence, not by force but by presence. People sense it, they respond differently. Doors that once seemed closed open naturally because the force driving your actions is no longer reaction, it is intention. Every time you practice this, you are proving to yourself that your inner world is yours alone. No one can dictate how you feel, no one can manipulate your energy, and no one can steal your calm unless you allow it. This is the true essence of power, the kind that doesn't shout or demand. It whispers in quiet confidence, steady and unmovable. You have the ability to live a life unshaken by insult, untethered by provocation, and enriched by clarity. This ability is waiting for you. You only need to decide fully and unwaveringly that you will not give anyone else that power over your mind. Now consider the energy you waste every time you react, the moments of life you give away to irritation, the hours you let slip through your fingers because someone else's behavior demanded a piece of your attention. Every reaction, every angry thought, every flash of resentment is a transaction where your peace is the currency, and the world rarely pays you back. And yet, the astonishing truth is that you can reclaim that energy. You can stop trading your calm for conflict. You can choose, in any moment, to step back from the edge, to observe without being consumed, to respond without being controlled. That choice is where true freedom lives, where your power lies not in what happens around you, but in what happens inside you. Anger only has the strength you give it. When you start noticing that, when you see that each flare of frustration is optional, you gain a clarity that transforms the way you interact with the world. You no longer see insults as attacks, you see them as reflections of others, projections of their own fears and limitations. You no longer feel the compulsion to prove yourself, to argue, to fight back. Instead, you stand firm, grounded in a calm so deep that it radiates outward, reshaping every encounter without a word. The more you practice this, the more automatic it becomes. Your mind learns that you are untouchable, not through avoidance, but through mastery of your own internal state. Imagine what life would feel like if you never allowed anyone to disturb your serenity again. Imagine walking into a room, reading the tension in others, and yet moving with a quiet confidence that nothing they do can penetrate. Every insult, every judgment, every attempt to provoke you simply bounces off the armor you've built with awareness and discipline. You become the observer, not the reactor. You gain the power to choose which battles matter, which words deserve a response, and which energy to conserve for growth, focus, and purpose. This is not about suppression. It's about sovereignty over your emotions, about turning a chaotic world into a calm environment where your mind rules your life. This mastery begins with attention. Notice the triggers, the patterns, the moments when your chest tightens, when your thoughts spiral, when irritation begins to rise. Recognize them as signals, not commands. Pause, breathe, choose. In that pause lies the seed of transformation. Every time you act with awareness, you train your mind to respond differently. You reinforce the truth that your emotional state is yours alone. And with each choice, your sense of control grows stronger, your resilience becomes unshakable, and your peace deepens. The rewards of this path are immeasurable. Clarity replaces confusion, strength replaces reactivity, and freedom replaces the invisible chains of resentment. You become a force that cannot be shaken by criticism, untouched by insults, and impervious to provocation. Your energy, your focus, your life, all of it belongs to you once more. And the world, which once seemed intent on testing your patience, now meets a person who is calm, powerful, and unwavering. That person is you, and the moment you realize that, the moment you claim this power as your own, the world no longer has the ability to control how you feel. You become the master of your mind, and with that mastery, there is nothing you cannot endure, achieve, or create. Every time you let anger dictate your response, you are handing over your power. You are giving someone else the authority to shape your thoughts, your feelings, your energy, and most of the time, that authority is undeserved. Most of the time, the people who provoke you are caught in their own struggles, blind to the impact of their words and actions. By allowing their behavior to control you, you surrender what cannot be replaced, your peace, your focus, your clarity. But the moment you realize this, the moment you internalize that no one has the right to steal your calm, everything changes. You step into a space where reaction is replaced by intention and emotion is guided by awareness rather than impulse. The mind reacts automatically when it is untrained. The insult triggers a surge of adrenaline. The offense sparks tension. The disagreement ignites an urge to fight or defend. These reactions feel natural, even unavoidable. But natural does not mean necessary. Every human can learn to observe, to pause, to choose. Every human can learn to separate stimulus from response, to see the world clearly without the distortion of anger. And when you do this consistently, the way you experience life transforms. Situations that once seemed unbearable, people who once seemed unbearable, lose their power over you. You begin to see interactions as opportunities for calm, for clarity, for growth rather than triggers for chaos. Your emotions are like water. They can flow or they can flood. You can let anger rise uncontrollably and drown you in tension, or you can direct it, channel it, contain it, and allow it to pass without leaving damage. This is mastery. It is not weakness. It is not avoidance. It is precision. It is the choice to preserve your energy, to protect your peace, and to respond from a place of strength rather than reactivity. Every time you do this, you prove to yourself that you are in control. Every time you practice this, you train your brain to respond differently, to rewire itself so that calm becomes the default and chaos becomes optional. The world will test you without question. People will speak harshly, act unfairly, and push against your boundaries. The difference is no longer in the world, it is in you. When you are unshaken, the world meets someone who is unmovable. Words that once hurt bounce off an armor built from self-awareness, patience, and discipline. Criticism that once tore you down now becomes neutral noise, incapable of disrupting your inner balance. You become a force that cannot be provoked, a presence that demands respect without demanding attention, a mind that chooses clarity over chaos. This is the essence of true strength. It is quiet, steady, unyielding, and completely under your control. The people who once dominated your emotional state, who once manipulated your energy with thoughtless words or careless actions, no longer have that power. Your calm becomes your armor, your focus becomes your weapon, and your inner peace becomes your realm. Every day you practice this. Every time you pause instead of reacting, you reinforce a truth that cannot be taken from you. No one under any circumstances can control how you feel unless you allow it. This is freedom, this is power, and this is the foundation on which you will build a life untouched by anger and unshakable in your serenity. Every time you feel the surge of anger rising, every moment when irritation tightens your chest, remember that this is your signal, not your sentence. The storm inside you is only powerful because you have allowed it to be. Every thought you choose to feed, every reaction you permit, strengthens the cycle of frustration. But every pause, every conscious decision to step back, to breathe, to observe rather than react, weakens that storm. This is the power of awareness. The power to decide that no one will take your peace from you, that no one's words, actions, or judgments will dictate your emotional state, rests entirely within your control. You are not responsible for the actions of others, only for the way you respond. And yet, most people live as if the world owes them calm, respect, and understanding, allowing the slightest provocation to pull them into unnecessary conflict. Imagine the energy saved, the clarity gained, and the power reclaimed when you accept this truth fully. You are sovereign over your mind. You are in control of your reactions. You are the gatekeeper of your emotional life. Once you understand that anger and irritation are optional, you begin to see the world differently. You stop perceiving slights as personal attacks and begin recognizing them as the reflection of others' limitations, insecurities, or misunderstandings. The mind is like a muscle. The more you exercise restraint, the more naturally calm you become. Every time you pause instead of reacting, every time you respond with intention rather than impulse, you are strengthening the neural pathways that support peace, focus, and clarity. Over time, what once felt impossible becomes automatic. You no longer need to battle yourself every time someone tests your patience. Your calm becomes your default, your reactions become measured, and your inner power becomes undeniable. This is not about being indifferent to the world. It is about being invulnerable to the chaos that has no relevance to your growth, your goals, or your sense of self. When you begin to operate from this place, life itself begins to shift. Conflicts that once left you drained now pass through you like shadows. Criticism no longer pierces your armor. The provocations of others no longer dictate your day, your mood, or your decisions. You become the observer and the architect of your emotional state, responding only when it serves your purpose and preserving your energy for what truly matters. This level of control is rare, yet entirely attainable. The reward is immense: freedom from unnecessary suffering, mental clarity, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your peace cannot be taken. Every time you exercise this power, you are reinforcing a truth that will carry you through every interaction, every challenge, every confrontation. You're proving to yourself that your emotions are yours to govern, that your reactions are your responsibility, and that your calm is unassailable. This is the essence of mastery, the foundation upon which an unshakable life is built. The people who once dominated your thoughts and dictated your mood no longer have that power. You are free, you are powerful, you are calm, and with every conscious choice, every deliberate pause, and every moment of awareness, you are building a life that no one can disrupt, disturb, or diminish. This is your strength. This is your freedom. This is the life of someone who is truly unbothered by the world. Every time someone tries to push your buttons, notice the choice you have in that moment. You can respond automatically, allowing their words or actions to dictate your feelings, or you can choose to remain unshaken, calm, and centered. That choice is more powerful than any insult, more decisive than any attack, and more liberating than any moment of fleeting victory. The power lies not in proving them wrong or retaliating, but in reclaiming your mind and refusing to hand over your peace. When you truly understand that your emotional state is yours alone, the world loses its ability to control you. You are untouchable, not through avoidance, but through mastery of your inner life. Anger is seductive. It promises strength, control, and immediate satisfaction. Yet every time you give in, you sacrifice clarity, wisdom, and energy that could be spent on what truly matters. The moment you start seeing anger as a choice rather than an obligation, your perception begins to shift. You begin to recognize provocation as noise, irritation as a signal rather than a command, and conflict as an opportunity to practice control rather than a mandate to react. This awareness is the foundation of unshakable calm. Each time you pause, each time you breathe instead of lashing out, you reinforce the truth that your mind belongs to you, that no external force can dictate your state without your consent. Calmness is a muscle. It grows stronger every time you exercise restraint. Every time you respond intentionally, you are training your brain to default to awareness rather than reaction. Over time, the patterns that once triggered automatic anger weaken, replaced by measured responses and serene observation. You become the person who walks through chaos without flinching, who faces criticism without internalizing it, and who encounters hostility without losing composure. This is not passivity. It is sovereignty. It is proof that true power is silent, steady, and rooted in mastery of the self. Your mind is the most important battlefield you will ever encounter. The attacks that reach you externally are insignificant compared to the battles that occur internally when anger, irritation, or resentment rise. By choosing calm over chaos, by choosing awareness over impulsivity, you take control of the most critical arena, your own consciousness. This control allows you to navigate life with clarity, to conserve energy for your goals, and to interact with others from a place of power rather than vulnerability. Every moment you maintain composure, you build a reserve of strength that cannot be taken, borrowed, or diminished. The liberation that comes from mastering your emotional state is profound. You no longer need to justify your feelings, defend your reactions, or prove your worth to others. Criticism and provocation pass through you without leaving a mark. Your focus sharpens. Your energy multiplies. Your presence becomes magnetic, rooted in an unshakable confidence that stems from knowing your peace is yours to command. When you fully embrace this power, life begins to feel lighter, interactions feel clearer, and your path becomes free from unnecessary obstacles created by uncontrolled emotion. Every choice you make in awareness compounds this freedom, creating a life where no one has the ability to bother, provoke, or shake you. You are calm. You're free. You're in control. Every irritation, every slight, every moment that used to trigger anger is now an opportunity to exercise power in a way few understand. True power is not about raising your voice, winning arguments, or dominating others. It is about mastery over yourself. When you refuse to be disturbed, when you choose calm over chaos, you take the highest form of control possible, control over your mind. You step out of the playground of reaction into the realm of choice, where every thought, every feeling, every response is deliberate, purposeful, and aligned with your highest self. This is freedom most people never experience because they hand their power to anyone who pushes hard enough. You are not most people. Every time someone tests your patience, consider the energy you are spending. Does reacting give you anything you cannot achieve through restraint? Does anger build your life? Or does it dismantle the foundation of your focus, your clarity, your peace? When you answer honestly, the truth is clear. Anger is a trap disguised as power. It promises control, but it delivers loss. Every time you choose calm, every time you pause instead of responding, you reclaim what anger would steal. Your mind, your energy, your presence, these are your most valuable resources. Guard them with vigilance. Protect them with awareness. And watch as life bends to the rhythm of your centeredness. The world will continue to challenge you. People will speak thoughtlessly, act carelessly, and try to provoke reactions for their own satisfaction. But when you remain unmoved, when you practice conscious restraint, you become an unshakable force. The provocation has no hold because it meets a mind that is trained, prepared, and sovereign. Your calmness becomes contagious, your presence commanding, your focus impenetrable. People may not understand it, but they will respect it. Not because of force, but because your inner power radiates, creating boundaries no one can cross without your permission. Every reaction you withhold strengthens the habit of mastery. Every pause you take before responding is a brick in the foundation of unshakable inner peace. Over time, this becomes automatic. Situations that once ignited rage now pass through like shadows, leaving no trace, no energy lost, no confusion. Your mind becomes a sanctuary, a place untouched by chaos, a place where clarity, focus, and purpose reside. The ability to remain unbothered is not a passive state. It is the active practice of sovereignty, the deliberate choice to protect your inner world at all costs. This practice rewires your brain. Neuroscience confirms that repeated restraint and conscious awareness strengthen neural pathways associated with self-control, emotional intelligence, and resilience. The more you exercise this skill, the less likely you are to react impulsively. Your calm becomes your default, your emotional freedom inevitable, and your energy multiplied. Every time someone tries to disturb you, they meet not resistance, but an impenetrable serenity. You are no longer a participant in petty conflicts. You are the master of your domain. The reward is profound. Clarity, energy, focus, and a life lived free from unnecessary suffering. You are untouchable. You are powerful. You are serene. And with each conscious choice, that power grows, spreading into every interaction, every decision, every moment of your life. Every insult, every criticism, every attempt to provoke you is only powerful if you allow it to be. The moment you realize this, the world shifts. No one can steal your calm unless you hand it over. Every thought that tempts you to anger is an invitation to practice mastery. You are not obligated to respond. You are not bound to feel what others want you to feel. Your mind, your peace, your composure are sacred. Guard them fiercely. Protect them with intention. Each moment you refuse to be triggered, you strengthen the most important muscle in your life, self-control. Anger and irritation are illusions of control. They promise dominance, yet they enslave you to the whims of circumstance and the actions of others. Every time you react impulsively, you give away power that can never be reclaimed. But every time you pause, every time you observe without reacting, you reclaim authority over yourself. You build an inner fortress that cannot be breached. Your energy, once scattered and wasted in conflict, is redirected into growth, focus, and clarity. You become untouchable, not through force, but through mastery of your own mind. This is the ultimate power, one that no one else can ever take from you. Your responses are your responsibility, and with that responsibility comes freedom. The freedom to choose peace over chaos, the freedom to remain unbothered when others attempt to provoke, the freedom to cultivate an inner life so strong that the external world becomes irrelevant in comparison. When you truly own this, criticism becomes feedback rather than attack, conflict becomes opportunity rather than threat, and adversity becomes a mirror reflecting your strength rather than a hammer shattering your calm. This is the clarity that only comes from mastery of emotion, the understanding that your peace is a prize no one else can claim. Every time you practice restraint, your brain rewires itself. Neural pathways associated with impulsive reaction weaken, while those supporting emotional intelligence, patience, and resilience strengthen. Over time, calmness becomes instinctual. Your default state shifts from reactivity to presence. You navigate challenges without being shaken, and confrontations no longer drain your energy. This is not passive avoidance, it is active power. It is the deliberate choice to protect your inner world while remaining fully present and engaged. You are building a life where your emotional sovereignty is absolute. The beauty of this mastery is that it transforms your experience of life itself. Interactions no longer leave you drained. Provocations slide past without leaving a mark. Criticism loses its sting. Energy once lost to frustration is now available for creation, for focus, for growth. Your presence becomes magnetic, rooted in calm authority, and those around you unconsciously respect it. The world no longer dictates your state. You dictate it yourself. This is freedom, this is power, and this is the life you create when you refuse to be controlled by the petty actions of others. You are serene. You are strong. You are unbothered. And with every conscious choice, every measured pause, every deliberate response, that power grows, spreading into every corner of your life, making your calm unshakable and your mind unstoppable. Every time someone tries to provoke you, ask yourself this: why give them the power to control your mind? The energy you spend reacting is energy stolen from your dreams, your growth, your clarity. Anger is a fire that burns within you, consuming focus, energy, and purpose, all for a fleeting sense of satisfaction that never lasts. When you recognize this, when you truly understand the cost of losing control, the desire to react begins to fade. You begin to see calmness not as weakness, but as strength, a form of power that no one else can touch. The more you practice restraint, the more freedom you create for yourself, the more unshakable your mind becomes. Control is not about dominance over others, it is dominance over yourself. Every time you pause, every time you choose observation over reaction, you take a step closer to mastery. This is the discipline that separates those who live in chaos from those who live in clarity. It is not a skill reserved for the few. It is available to anyone willing to commit to awareness. The world will continue to provoke. People will say hurtful things, act carelessly, and test your patience. But the difference lies in your response. You can allow irritation to take hold, or you can rise above it, anchored in the certainty that your inner state is yours alone to govern. Your mind is the most powerful tool you possess, yet most people give it away for nothing. Every angry reaction is a surrender, every frustration a self-inflicted wound. But every conscious choice to remain calm strengthens your mind, sharpens your focus, and multiplies your energy. This is how unshakable people are built, not through confrontation, but through restraint, not through reaction, but through deliberate choice. The less you are controlled by external forces, the more your potential expands, the more your life aligns with your intentions, and the more your presence commands respect without demanding it. The habit of calmness rewires your perception. Criticism stops feeling like an attack. Conflict stops feeling like a threat. Provocation stops feeling personal. Instead, you begin to see every challenge as an opportunity to practice mastery. Each time you remain composed, your confidence grows. Each time you pause instead of reacting, your sense of freedom expands. You are no longer at the mercy of external chaos. You are the author of your emotional world. This is liberation. The understanding that peace is not given, it is claimed, and it is claimed through deliberate, repeated choice. As this power strengthens, your life transforms. Your relationships improve because you are present without being reactive. Your energy multiplies because it is no longer wasted on anger. Your focus sharpens because you are not distracted by petty conflicts. The world may attempt to disturb you, but you are immovable. The satisfaction of remaining unbothered becomes intoxicating, a reward more profound than any temporary victory won through conflict. You are serene, you are powerful, you are free. Every time you choose calm, every time you practice restraint, every time you claim your peace, you solidify a life where no one and nothing can shake your inner world. Every thought that tempts you to anger is a test of your awareness, your discipline, and your willingness to protect your inner world. Most people fail this test because they confuse reaction with strength, noise with power, and chaos with life. But you are learning something different. You are learning that real strength is quiet, unshakable, and deliberate. It does not rise in response to provocation. It exists before provocation, rooted in a mind trained to remain sovereign no matter what storms rage around it. This strength is yours to claim, moment by moment, choice by choice. Consider the consequences of losing your composure. Every angry outburst fractures your clarity. Every irritated reaction pulls you away from the goals that truly matter. Each time you allow someone else to dictate your emotional state, you surrender your energy, your focus, your freedom. And yet, every time you pause, observe, and respond, or even choose not to respond, you reclaim what anger would steal. You create space between stimulus and reaction, and in that space lies your power. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are the ruler of your own mind, the guardian of your energy, the architect of your emotional world. This mastery begins with awareness. Observe the moments that once provoked you. Notice the triggers, the sensations, the urge to react. Do not judge yourself for them. Instead, see them clearly for what they are, signals, not commands. You do not have to obey the pull of irritation. You do not have to feed the fire of frustration. You have a choice. Each time you exercise that choice consciously, you reinforce your capacity for calm, strengthen your resilience, and solidify your sense of inner freedom. This is how mental fortitude is built, not in the absence of challenge, but in the deliberate engagement with it on your terms. Imagine the power of living without unnecessary disturbance. Imagine navigating every interaction, every confrontation, every slight with complete awareness and unshakable composure. Imagine the freedom of energy that is no longer wasted on fleeting emotions, but instead directed toward creation, focus, and growth. This is not fantasy. This is achievable for anyone willing to train the mind, to reclaim authority over thought and feeling, to prioritize sovereignty over reaction. Each conscious choice you make builds momentum. Each pause before response strengthens a life lived deliberately, rather than a life controlled by the whims of others. As this habit becomes ingrained, your presence transforms. People will notice, even if silently. They may try to provoke, but you remain untouched. Your calm becomes magnetic, your focus becomes sharp, and your energy becomes abundant. Life no longer drains you, it flows through you with clarity and purpose. This is mastery, and it is yours to claim. Every moment you choose calm, every moment you practice restraint, every moment you defend your inner peace, you move closer to a state of unshakable serenity. You are untouchable, unstoppable, and fully alive in the power of your own mind. Every moment you are irritated, your mind becomes cluttered, weighed down by thoughts that do not serve you. Anger is a thief. It steals attention, focus, and energy that could otherwise be invested in creating the life you desire. When you feel the first stirrings of frustration, ask yourself this: why surrender my peace for something that has no power over my true self? No word, no action, no circumstance possesses the authority to disturb the calm you can cultivate within. Your mind, your awareness, and your response are entirely under your control. Every time you remember this, every time you claim this truth, you become stronger, freer, and more alive. Anger feels urgent, but it is rarely necessary. It feels important, but it is often meaningless. The body reacts before the mind catches up, and in those moments of impulse, we give away what is most precious, the ability to choose. When you train yourself to pause, even for a breath, you step out of the automatic cycle that traps most people. You interrupt the chain of reaction and replace it with conscious action. You realize that control is not about suppressing emotions, it is about guiding them with awareness, turning potential chaos into clarity. Your energy is finite, and every choice to remain calm preserves the fuel that propels your life forward. Imagine approaching every encounter with unshakable composure. Imagine the freedom of not being triggered by the careless words, actions, or judgments of others. Your attention stays on what matters: your growth, your purpose, your vision. This is not weakness. This is mastery. This is an inner strength that radiates outward, influencing your environment without aggression, without confrontation, without surrendering to the petty conflicts that drain the ordinary mind. Your presence becomes a statement. Peace is power, calm is authority, and composure is unassailable. This practice reshapes your identity. When you consistently choose calm over reaction, you are no longer defined by external chaos. You are defined by the space you create within, the clarity you cultivate, and the discipline you uphold. People may test you, provoke you, or challenge your serenity, but you respond with an unwavering awareness that cannot be shaken. Each conscious choice to remain unbothered reinforces your resilience. Each moment of composure expands your energy. Each refusal to surrender your peace strengthens your ability to live fully without distraction, without unnecessary conflict. The more you exercise this power, the more effortless it becomes. You no longer waste energy on irritation, resentment, or revenge. Instead, you channel every thought, every emotion, every interaction into growth, creation, and alignment with your highest vision. Calmness is no longer an act, it is your nature. Your inner world becomes a fortress, impenetrable to negativity and distraction. In claiming this, you gain something few ever achieve: freedom from the tyranny of emotion dictated by external forces. You are untouchable, unstoppable, and fully alive in the clarity of your own mind. Every moment you maintain this calm, you reinforce the truth: no one can take what you refuse to give. The serenity, the focus, and the strength of your own consciousness. Every insult, every slight, every frustrating encounter carries with it a choice. You can allow it to pierce your mind, to ignite a fire you did not want, or you can meet it with the calm certainty that your inner world is yours alone. Real power is not in reacting, but in choosing not to react. It is in understanding that the momentary discomfort others create does not define your experience, your value, or your destiny. When you recognize this, you step into a space where your emotions serve you rather than control you. You become the master of your inner climate, and no external storm can disturb the peace you have claimed. Anger is often a signal of misaligned priorities. It asks, why is this affecting me? And the answer is not external, it is internal. You are allowing your energy to leak into the opinions, actions, and mistakes of others when your focus should be on what you can create, what you can build, what you can become. Each time you refuse to react, you reclaim that energy. Each time you observe instead of erupting, you build resilience. Your mind becomes a sanctuary, a place where clarity replaces chaos, where calm replaces turmoil, and where your decisions are made from strength rather than impulse. This is the profound reward of choosing to remain unbothered. Visualize the life that emerges when this becomes habit. Imagine moving through every interaction, every challenge, every confrontation with a quiet, unshakable power. Others may provoke, manipulate, or irritate, but you move with precision, focus, and confidence. Your energy is no longer siphoned by the chaos of others. Your mind is no longer a battlefield for petty emotions. You live with intentionality, and each step is deliberate. This is not avoidance. This is not indifference. This is mastery. You honor your own inner world of the whims of anyone else, and in doing so, you gain the freedom to think, act, and create without unnecessary resistance. To embody this fully, you must practice consistently. Every encounter is a training ground. Every moment of irritation is an opportunity to expand your strength. When you feel the impulse to lash out, pause. When you feel the rush to react, breathe. Observe. Understand that the external event is transient, but your response shapes the trajectory of your life. Over time, this practice rewires your brain. Reactions that once came automatically now meet the filter of awareness. You become a living example of composure and discipline. People notice it, even if silently, and your presence begins to shift the energy around you. Calm becomes contagious, respect becomes inevitable, and your life aligns with clarity and purpose. The ultimate power lies in claiming your right to peace. No one can disturb what you refuse to give away. Anger loses its grip. Frustration dissolves. Your energy flows unbroken toward your goals, your growth, and your highest vision. By mastering this, you do not just survive the chaos of the world, you thrive within it. You transform every challenge into an opportunity, every provocation into a test of your strength, and every moment into a deliberate choice for freedom. This is the path of mastery, and each conscious decision to remain calm brings you closer to becoming unshakable, unstoppable, and fully alive in the power of your own mind. Every irritation you feel is a doorway to greater power. Every moment you resist the urge to react is a victory for your mind, your energy, and your future. Consider how much of your life is spent reacting to circumstances that do not truly matter. Words spoken in anger, careless criticisms, or thoughtless behavior from others have no real weight unless you grant it to them. The moment you realize that your response is the only thing within your control, a profound liberation begins. You are no longer a prisoner of external chaos. You are a deliberate architect of your inner world, and this awareness alone shifts everything. When you stop giving your energy to things that do not serve you, you begin to notice the difference immediately. Your thoughts are clearer, your decisions are sharper, your life moves with precision because you are no longer drained by battles you never needed to fight. The world will continue to challenge, provoke, and test you, but you carry a power that no one can touch. Every person who attempts to trigger anger in you meets calm instead. Every situation designed to create frustration meets focus and clarity. This is not just discipline, it is mastery over yourself and, ultimately, over the quality of your own life. The practice of remaining unbothered is a daily, conscious choice. It is a commitment to never let external forces dictate your emotional state. When you feel the initial stirrings of irritation, breathe, observe, recognize the source of your discomfort, and remind yourself that your peace is yours to guard. This is where freedom begins, not in the absence of challenges, but in the ability to remain unwavering in the presence of them. Each moment you exercise this choice strengthens your neural pathways for resilience. Each time you act from calm rather than impulse, your brain reinforces a pattern of power, clarity, and control. Over time, these small victories compound into an unshakable mindset. Imagine moving through your days without anger, without unnecessary agitation, without the exhaustion of defending your emotions against others. Your focus sharpens, your energy multiplies. You become magnetic to those who respect strength, while the negativity of those who do not loses all influence over you. You are not just reacting differently, you are living differently. Your calm becomes a force field that preserves your energy and directs it toward your vision, your goals, and your growth. The life you build from this place of power is effortless, intentional, and free from the chains of petty conflict. True mastery comes when calm becomes instinctive. When provocation arises, your mind automatically responds with composure. You do not need to fight it or suppress it. You do not need to justify it. Calm becomes your nature, your default, your shield, and your weapon at once. People may still act out, but their actions no longer dictate your state. Your energy remains yours, unfragmented, potent, and fully aligned with your purpose. This is the transformation that comes when you commit to never being angry or bothered by anyone. Every conscious decision to remain serene carves a life of strength, clarity, and freedom, one that cannot be touched, one that cannot be shaken, and one that is entirely yours to own. Every thought you give power to shapes the world you live in. When you allow anger, resentment, or irritation to dominate your mind, you are essentially handing over control of your life to someone else's behavior. But what if you decided, here and now, that no one would ever have that power again? What if you recognize that your peace is your most precious asset, more valuable than approval, more valuable than being right, more valuable than any fleeting sense of victory over someone else? The moment you claim this, your energy shifts, your vision sharpens. You feel the extraordinary freedom that comes from knowing your emotional state is untouchable, unshakable, and entirely your own. Anger is often disguised as a reaction to others, but it is really a reflection of your own unresolved attachments. To be free from it, you must examine where you give your attention, where you invest your mental energy, and where you allow the world to dictate your internal climate. Every insult, every provocation, every careless word has power only because you allow it. When you stop granting it that power, you step into an entirely different dimension of strength. You move from being reactive to being sovereign. You move from chaos to clarity. You move from exhaustion to effortless control over your own life. This is not passive. This is active, deliberate, and conscious. It requires awareness, practice, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about how you have been giving away your power. You will feel the pull of old habits, the urge to lash out, to defend, to retaliate. But each time you resist, each time you breathe, instead of reacting, you reinforce a neurological pattern of mastery. Your brain begins to anticipate calm as the default, and your energy no longer fragments at the whims of others. Over time, your mind, your body, and your spirit align in a way that cannot be shaken. Your peace becomes impenetrable. Your focus becomes unbreakable. Your life begins to unfold with the kind of momentum that only freedom can generate. Imagine carrying this presence into every interaction, every meeting, every conversation, and every challenge. People may attempt to provoke you, to test your boundaries, to ignite your anger, but their efforts bounce harmlessly off your calm. Your inner state dictates the outer world. The chaos of others no longer infiltrates your mind or drains your energy. You can engage when it serves your purpose and disengage without guilt when it does not. Your choices become deliberate, not reactionary. Your power becomes visible, silent, and undeniable. The reward of this discipline is profound. You are no longer enslaved to emotions that belong to someone else. You are no longer exhausted by battles that do not serve your growth. You are free to focus on what matters most, your vision, your goals, your growth, and the life you truly want to live. Each moment of calm you cultivate multiplies your strength, sharpens your clarity, and deepens your resilience. This is not just emotional control, it is transformation at the core of your being. When you commit to never being angry or bothered by anyone, you are not suppressing feelings, you are creating a life where your energy is untouchable, your focus is unstoppable, and your peace becomes a force that shapes your reality. Every reaction you have is a choice, even when it feels automatic. Every time someone pushes your buttons, it is a moment where you can decide who really controls your inner world. The power lies in your ability to pause, to observe, and to respond with intention rather than habit. This is not weakness. This is the ultimate demonstration of strength. When you choose calm over anger, understanding over judgment, and control over chaos, you step into a level of mastery few ever reach. You become the source of your own energy, the author of your own life, and the unshakable force that cannot be moved by the whims of others. Your mind is a garden, and your thoughts are seeds. Anger, frustration, and resentment are weeds that grow when you unconsciously water them. Every moment you spend dwelling on someone's behavior, every replay of an insult or a slight, is like giving sunlight and water to those weeds. But when you shift your attention, when you consciously decide to focus on peace, clarity, and growth, you cultivate flowers instead. You plant seeds that blossom into resilience, joy, and unwavering focus. The more you tend to this inner garden, the less the negativity of others can affect you. Their words and actions no longer dictate the climate of your mind. You decide the weather within. True freedom comes when you understand that nothing outside you can force you into a state of anger unless you let it. People will speak, act, and try to provoke. They will make demands, challenge your patience, and ignite your old reflexes. But when you recognize their behavior is separate from your peace, you dissolve their power. You no longer live in reaction to the world. You live as the calm center around which the world moves. This requires discipline, yes, but it also gives you an unshakable sense of certainty. You know that no matter what chaos arises, no matter what conflict is thrown at you, your inner calm is untouchable, unmovable, and enduring. Every moment you practice this, you reinforce your strength. You build a habit of awareness and deliberate response that transforms your life at its core. You begin to notice your energy shifts. Anger no longer hijacks your mind, frustration no longer drains your spirit, and resentment loses its grip. You are free to channel your focus toward what matters, your goals, your growth, your purpose. This is not an abstract promise. This is tangible, measurable transformation. You will see your relationships improve, your stress decrease, and your productivity skyrocket. You will become magnetic in your calm, and people will naturally respect the force of your presence. The reward is extraordinary because it touches every part of your life. You will move through the world unburdened by the weight of others' negativity. You will experience clarity that feels like a superpower. You will step into rooms with energy that cannot be drained, and you will make decisions that are precise, confident, and aligned with your highest goals. Each choice to remain unbothered strengthens your foundation, builds your resilience, and creates a life of extraordinary peace. To live without anger is not to deny your humanity. It is to embrace your power. It is to claim the life you were always capable of living. It is to rise above and become unshakable. Every time someone tests your patience, there is a hidden invitation. It is an invitation to see the power that has always been within you. It is an opportunity to step into a version of yourself that is untouchable, unshakable, and completely free. Anger, frustration, and irritation are not signs of weakness. They are indicators of old patterns that have convinced you that someone else controls your emotional state. But you are not a puppet. Your mind, your energy, your focus, they belong entirely to you. When you realize this, when you truly feel it in your body and bones, a shift happens. You no longer hand over your power, even for a moment. Imagine the relief, the clarity, and the energy you gain when your emotional state is entirely self-directed. No one can steal it, no circumstance can diminish it, and no words can shake it. This is not fantasy. This is the reality of mastering your responses. Every thought you have is a brushstroke on the canvas of your life. When you choose calm, understanding, and deliberate response, you create a masterpiece. Your reactions are no longer accidental. They are precise, intentional, and aligned with your higher purpose. Anger dissolves because it has no fertile ground to grow. Criticism falls away because it is no longer a spark for your inner fire. Provocation becomes invisible because your energy is focused inward on growth and strength, not outward on what does not serve you. The most profound transformation happens when you start seeing the world differently. People's actions are no longer personal attacks. They are reflections of their inner struggles, their fears, and their limitations. When you understand this, empathy replaces frustration, perspective replaces irritation, and freedom replaces bondage. You no longer waste energy fighting battles that were never yours to fight. Instead, you conserve your strength for what truly matters: your vision, your goals, your happiness, your legacy. You begin to realize that anger is a choice, and choosing otherwise is a declaration of independence that rewrites your life. Every time you practice this, your nervous system, your mind, and your spirit rewire. Patience becomes instinctive, calm becomes habitual, and composure becomes your natural state. You no longer carry the weight of others' negativity, and your presence alone becomes magnetic. People feel it. They sense the unshakable peace radiating from you. You are no longer a reaction, you are a force. The way you navigate challenges, criticism, and conflict changes entirely. You do not fight, you do not resist, you do not yield to anger. You simply hold your center, and everything else moves around you. The freedom you achieve is profound because it touches every aspect of your life. Your relationships improve because you respond with clarity and understanding. Your mind is sharper because you are not distracted by irritation or resentment. Your energy soars because you are no longer drained by unnecessary conflict. And your spirit grows because every choice to remain unbothered reinforces your identity as someone who controls their own life. Living without anger is not a denial of emotion, it is the embrace of mastery. It is the declaration that your inner peace is untouchable, your power is yours, and your life will be lived on your terms. Every thought you allow to linger in your mind has the power to shape your reality. When someone tries to provoke you, it is a test of where you place your focus. Do you invest your energy in their negativity, letting it fester and grow inside you? Or do you see it for what it is, a reflection of their limitations, not a verdict on your worth? Every time you choose the latter, you reclaim a piece of your power. You prove to yourself that no external force can dictate your inner world. This is not just a moment of control, it is a revolution in how you live. Your mind becomes a fortress, your spirit an unmovable pillar, and your energy a force that flows freely, uncorrupted by the chaos around you. The truth is, the more you allow yourself to be unshaken, the stronger you become. Anger is a trap. It is a misalignment of attention, a surrender to forces outside your control. When you step back and observe, instead of react, your life changes. You begin to see situations with clarity instead of distortion. The weight of others' judgments, insults, or criticisms no longer bends your will. Instead, you respond with a calm, deliberate energy that communicates power without aggression, confidence without ego, and strength without hostility. This is mastery. This is freedom. This is the moment you realize that your emotions are yours to govern, not theirs to manipulate. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to reinforce this power.